These are homemade tables. You've probably seen the other ones on my earlier videos. This is one of the first I made actually, and it's probably the best. It's the most stout and strongest. I'll just move down so you can see. This one's got rollers on the bottom. They're lockable rollers. It makes it handy because you can pop it away. I've got a little space in between the benches where I slide it when I'm not using it, and I just bring it out to use it. And it's perfectly sound. If you make the thing strong enough, you needn't worry about having wheels on it. As long as they're decent wheels, it makes it much handier than having a fixture, a permanent fixture. At least you can move it out. Anyway, you'll see on the front there's 2 switches and a no-volt release cutout, which I put incorporated for safety, obviously. The 2 switches on there, they don't actually control the router, but I'll show you what they do in a minute. The one is a dummy switch. The one on the right is there for extra purposes if I needed to do anything else to it and add something to it. The other one is a suction device that I built into the machine. When I turn it on, that switch will illuminate, and it stays illuminated all the time. It acts as a warning, so I know the thing's plugged in. You'll see on the top there's a power lead there, heavy duty power lead, which plugs in separately. The actual suction device is built into the machine, and I'll show you that in a moment when we go to the other side of the rotor. This is the side of the table, and you can see there are 2 access doors, a top solid one and a bottom one with a perspex window in it. I'll explain what they do and what's inside them in a moment, but that's the actual side of the rotor. I haven't got the fence fittings on yet, but I will do that in a moment and show you how they work. Right, I've taken the cover off, the top cover off the one side, so you can see what's inside. You've got an MOF 177E electronic router. This is a really good quality one. That's the best one I've got. It's really heavy duty, and you do need that if you're using large cutters. It takes 1/2-inch cutters. Then over in the corner there, you'll see a little box which is covered. It's a box made of insulation board actually, to try and keep it quiet. Inside there I've got a motor taken out of an old vacuum cleaner, and what that does, you see there's a pipe over this side, this white, it's a piece of ducting hose from a tumble dryer. It's all recycled stuff because I don't buy anything, I just use junk. It's a piece of ducting hose, and what that does, it goes up to the top and helps collect some of the dust and shavings off the rotor from the inside. And what it does, this motor sucks it down into the bottom compartment, which I'll show you in a moment. But we'll stay with the top bit at the moment. As you can see over on the side there, in the corner, you probably can't see it well, there's a 13-amp socket again there on the back of the no-volt release switch where the rotor plugs in. So if you want to take it out, it's a simple matter of unplugging it and disconnecting it from the top. But generally speaking, I'll leave it in there all the time because I use it mainly for making door frames and things, which is what it's set up for at the moment. But that's about it for the inside of the motor compartment. There's a hole, I don't know if you can see, down in the cabinet there, which lets the exhaust out from the actual vacuum cleaner motor that sucks up. I must say that doesn't suck all of the dust and that up. That's supplementary on the top, but we'll go into that in a moment. So what I'll do now, we'll go to the bottom one. Well, as you can see in there's not much, it's just a lot of junk really. Basically that's where the dust goes when the motor on the top, this motor up here, when that sucks the dust down into this compartment below via that old ducting hose. And what I do, I use that as storage. These pieces are parts of the fence, and what I'll do, I'll put those on now so you can see how it all works, but I leave them in there when it's packed away out of the way because they take up too much room otherwise. Okay, I've put the fences on now. What I'll do, I'll go in a bit closer and I'll show you how I adjust the fences to take account of the cutter. All I do, basically, I just get a steel rule or any metal thing. There's a ball bearing on top of the cutter that acts as a sort of a fence, a stop. And I just get a straight edge like that. And I move the 2 fences forward until I get a nice straight line, in line with the, so that it's level with the bearing, like so. And then you just tighten the 2 nuts up, like so. And that's it. That's the job done then. And then you've got a take-off fence and a stone fence. They are adjustable. There's 2 screws in these and they're slotted, so you can move them in and out, taking into account the cutter, because you want the least possible gap between the cutter and the fence if possible. So you can adjust these in and out accordingly. That's about it. The other thing you do with this one, won't go away, I've got this homemade device. It's just got a bit of cycle inner tube on each end, a bit of rubber on each end that seals it, and a hole. I don't know if you can see, where are we? Can't see the camera now. It's got a hole in the front there, and you just pop that onto the fence like that, and then I've got a hose, vacuum cleaner hose, a large bore hose, which plugs in the back there. Can you see that? And then that plugs into another, I've got a small industrial pneumatic cleaner which collects the dust off the top of the router. As you remember, I've got one inside as well, and this collects the dust off the top. So it does take, you do get a little bit of spatter, but most of it goes in through here. The perspex is broken there, it needs a new piece on the top, but it does the job anyway. So that's that. I'll show the table and the router working so you can see what happens, and show you how it cuts. I'm not going to go into the details of the actual moulding or cut or how to make the panel doors. That's the subject of another video, and I imagine other people have done it already anyway. I just thought it's only fair to show you the table in use. Should say it's going to be quite noisy because I've got the doors off the table, so it will be noisy. So I shan't do any speaking, but you'll hear the noise, a lot of noise when it's going. I haven't set the cutter up correctly, so it won't be precise, but you get the idea. You end up with something like this, and that's the other end. When you're doing the ends, you have to turn the cutters over, and what I do, I've got you'll see a mitre slot in the table, and I use you need a fairly decent micro guide along there. That's for doing the ends like so. You pop that in there and then go along like that, and you get an accurate cutting on the end. And then when the whole thing's done, it just joints together like so, and you get a perfect frame when it's all when it's glued and clamped together. As you can see, that isn't set properly at the moment. It is precise setting, but it doesn't take much trouble in the table. You can just do it from the other side. Just adjust this up and down. You just take these off and put them in a different order, that's all. But I won't go into any of that because it's nothing to do with the table really. It's just the cutters. But there you go, that's it. That's my final table. It's been very useful. I hope someone finds something of interest in this. If you're thinking of making a table yourself, it might give you a few ideas. If you've got any questions, please comment. I'll be happy to help if I possibly can. Goodbye for now, and bye from Paddy the dog, who's down here at the moment, about to cause trouble. Come on, Paddy, what are you up to? He doesn't like the cleaners going. When I start them up, he usually goes a bit wild for some reason. Bye then. When you're using cutters like these, especially these half-inch ones, the half-inch shank, you really do need a powerful rotor. This is where this particular model, the MOF 177E, comes into its own. You can't really use large cutters like these on a smaller router. There's just not enough power there. And it's also essential when you're using these cutters to do it in a table. Don't try doing it freehand, it's no good. You need a table. That's why I built this, essentially, to use this particular door cutter, which has been very, very useful. It did cost me quite a bit, but it's been worth it because I've made hundreds of doors with it. But as I say, you do need a powerful router for these particular cutters. Okay, bye.